The haunting at Willow Creek Bridge. John had heard the rumors of strange happenings at the old, rickety bridge that crossed over Willow Creek. He had always been a skeptic, but as a journalist, he was determined to uncover the truth behind the rumors. It was a cold, dark night when he made his way to the bridge, but he knew he had to push through his fear. He had a job to do. As he walked across the bridge, he felt a strange sensation wash over him. It was as if he were being watched, but he could see nothing out of the ordinary. He shrugged it off, thinking it was just his imagination playing tricks on him. But then, he heard a noise. It was a faint whispering, coming from somewhere deep within the bridge. He paused, listening intently, but the whispering stopped as quickly as it had begun. He continued on, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was not right. As he reached the other side of the bridge, he felt a cold hand on his shoulder. He whirled around, but there was no one there. He could feel his heart racing as he turned and ran back across the bridge, not stopping until he was back on solid ground. Shaken, but determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, John decided to return to the bridge during the day. He arrived early in the morning, the sun just starting to rise, and began to investigate. He searched the bridge for any signs of tampering or trickery, but he found nothing. It was then that he heard the whispering again. This time, it was louder, and he could make out the words. "Why did you leave me?" it said. John's heart skipped a beat as he realized the truth. The bridge was haunted by the ghost of a woman who had been left at the altar by her lover. John decided to dig deeper into the history of the bridge and the ghost. He spoke to the locals and discovered that the woman's name was Sarah and she had been engaged to be married to a man named Jack. But on the day of their wedding, Jack had left Sarah standing alone at the altar, leaving her heartbroken. She had walked to the bridge, where she had taken her own life. John felt a wave of sadness wash over him as he thought about the tragic fate of Sarah. He knew he had to do something to help her find peace. He spent weeks researching and studying the bridge and finally came up with a plan. He would hold a memorial service for Sarah on the bridge, in the hopes that it would help her spirit move on. On the day of the service, John arrived at the bridge with a small group of people who had been affected by the ghost's presence. They walked across the bridge, holding candles and flowers, and John spoke about Sarah's story and the importance of forgiveness. As they reached the other side of the bridge, a strange thing happened. The wind picked up, and the candles flickered, as if blown by an unseen force. And then, a figure appeared before them. It was Sarah, her ghostly form appearing before them in a shimmering light. "Thank you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've been trapped here for so long, unable to move on because of my anger and resentment towards Jack. But now, I see that it was not his fault. He was not ready for the commitment and I should not have held on to those negative feelings. I can finally find peace and leave this place." With that, Sarah's ghostly form began to fade away, until she was gone. The group of people looked at each other in amazement and wonder. They knew that Sarah's spirit had finally found peace and was no longer haunting the bridge. John was relieved and satisfied that his plan had worked and he could finally move on from this haunting story. He wrote about it in his newspaper and it became a famous story that people still talk about to this day. But for John, the memory of that cold, dark night and the tragic fate of Sarah would stay with him forever, as a reminder of the importance of forgiveness and the power of memorials to help the spirits move on. But John's story doesn't end there. As he delved deeper into the subject of ghosts and hauntings, he became increasingly interested in the paranormal. He started to investigate other haunted places and eventually quit his job as a journalist to become a full-time paranormal investigator. He traveled the country, helping spirits find peace and closure, and his name became synonymous with ghosts and hauntings. Years passed and John became a renowned ghost hunter, and he wrote several books about his experiences and findings. He even started a team of ghost hunters, and together they helped many spirits find peace. John's story of the haunting at Willow Creek Bridge was just the beginning of his journey, and it will always be remembered as the catalyst that led him to a new path and a new passion in his life.